The message came through the deep space array at 3 a.m. Lieutenant Sarah Chen sat up straight in her chair, coffee forgotten as the translation software processed the alien transmission. The words that appeared on her screen made her blood run cold. "This is Silvari Prime. We are dying. They have come to our worlds with fire and death. We have no weapons. We have no warriors. We beg the galaxy for help. We beg for mercy." Sarah replayed the message 3 times. The voice was soft, almost musical, filled with a sadness that needed no translation. She forwarded it to her supervisor and waited. Within an hour, the message reached the United Nations headquarters. The Silvari were gentle creatures. Earth had met them 2 years ago, when humanity first joined the galactic community. They looked like tall deer with 6 legs and large, kind eyes. They ate plants and spent their days creating beautiful art and music. They had no armies because they had never needed armies. War was something they did not understand. Now something called the Krath Empire was destroying them. The Krath were conquerors. They moved from star to star, taking what they wanted and killing anyone who stood in their way. The Silvari stood no chance. The emergency session of the UN Security Council lasted 6 hours. Ambassadors from Earth's nations watched footage from Silvari worlds. Cities burned. Silvari ran in panic as Krath warships darkened their skies. The images were difficult to watch. "We must help them," said Ambassador Maria Rodriguez from Spain. "We cannot stand by and watch genocide." "With what?" replied Ambassador John Parks from the United States. "We are new to galactic politics. We have no real space fleet. The Krath Empire has conquered 20 star systems, 20. Our military cannot fight them." "What about the Galactic Council?" someone asked. "Cannot they send help?" The answer came from Ambassador Chen Wei of China, who had studied galactic law. "The Council has already refused. The Silvari have no resources worth protecting. The Krath are too powerful to anger. The galaxy has decided to let them die." Silence filled the chamber. Then a voice spoke from the back. It belonged to Dr. Marcus Webb, a xenobiologist who studied alien life forms. "We may not have an army that can reach them," Marcus said quietly, "but we have something else, something the Krath have never faced." Everyone turned to look at him. Marcus stepped forward and activated a holographic display. Images appeared in the air. A wolf, a bear, a crocodile, a shark. "Earth is classified as a Class 12 death world," Marcus continued. "Do you know what that means? It means our planet is so dangerous that most alien species cannot survive here for a single day. The gravity is too strong, the diseases too many, the weather too extreme, and most of all, the predators too deadly." He showed more images. Lions hunting, wolves coordinating attacks, orcas using strategy, army ants overwhelming prey. Humans are not the only survivors of Earth. We share our world with thousands of predator species, creatures that have been perfecting the art of hunting for millions of years. The Silvari asked for mercy. The Krath asked for war. I say we give them both. You want to send animals? Ambassador Parks asked in disbelief. Not just animals, Marcus replied. Survivors, killers, creatures that have fought to live on the most dangerous planet in known space. The Silvari cannot fight, but Earth's predators have done nothing but fight since the day life began on our world. The idea was insane. It was also humanity's only option. The Council voted. The decision was unanimous. 3 weeks later, the ARC protocol launched. 3 massive transport ships left Earth orbit. Inside were not soldiers or weapons. Inside were carefully selected packs, prides, and pods of Earth's most successful predators. Each animal was tagged with a monitoring device. Each species was chosen for its hunting ability and survival instincts. Sarah Chen, now promoted to doctor and mission coordinator, watched the ships disappear into faster-than-light travel. Marcus stood beside her. Do you think this will work? She asked. Marcus watched the stars. The Silvari begged for mercy. We are sending it. The Krath will learn what it means to hunt on a death world. They will learn what it means to be prey. In the cargo holds of the ARC ships, wolves slept in their packs. Bears rested in their cells. Crocodiles waited in temperature-controlled pools. They did not know where they were going. They did not know they were about to become weapons. They only knew one thing. They knew how to survive. And on Earth, survival meant becoming very, very good at killing. The monsters awaken. The journey took 14 days. Inside ARC Ship 1, the wolf pack stirred. There were 12 of them, gray wolves from the forests of North America. The alpha male lifted his head and sniffed the recycled air. Something had changed. The vibrations in the floor had stopped. In Ark Ship 2, 5 saltwater crocodiles lay motionless in their pool. Each was over 4 meters long. They had lived for 60 years in the rivers of Australia. They were patient. They could wait. In Ark Ship 3, a pride of lions rested. The male's mane was thick and dark. His amber eyes opened as gravity shifted. Beside him, 4 lionesses raised their heads. They could smell fear even across the stars, and they could smell prey. The ships dropped out of faster-than-light travel at the edge of Silvari space. Immediately, Dr. Sarah Chen's control room lit up with alerts. Krath warships were everywhere. They had blockaded 3 Silvari worlds. "Send the message," Sarah ordered. The transmission went out in all directions. "This is Earthship Ark 1. We have come to answer the Silvari's call for help. We bring aid." The Krath response came within minutes. The translation was simple. "Small ships. Weak weapons. Go home or die." Marcus Webb smiled at his console. "They think we came to fight them with ships. They have no idea." The Ark ships moved into orbit around Silvari Prime, the Silvari homeworld. Krath ground forces had already landed in 3 locations. They were moving through Silvari cities, destroying everything. The Silvari could only run. "Begin deployment," Sarah commanded. The first cargo pods launched from Ark Ship 1. They fell through the atmosphere like meteors. Inside, the wolves felt the heat, the shaking, the violent descent. Then the pods opened. The wolves emerged into a forest. The trees were strange colors, purple and blue instead of green. The air smelled different. But the wolves understood forests. They understood hunting. The alpha howled and the pack responded. They spread out and began to explore. 3 kilometers away, a Krath soldier named Vex stood guard at his unit's perimeter. The Krath looked like large insects, standing on 2 legs with 4 arms. Their exoskeletons were tough like armor. They carried energy weapons that could burn through steel. Vex was bored. The Silvari were not fighters. They ran or they died. There was no challenge, no glory, just easy hunting. Then he heard something, a sound he did not recognize. It was high and long. It echoed through the purple forest. A howl. Vex raised his weapon. His thermal scanner picked up movement. Many movements, fast, coming from different directions. "Contact," he shouted into his communicator. Multiple targets approaching from... The first wolf hit him from the side. 60 kilograms of muscle and teeth moving at 50 kilometers per hour. Vex went down. His armor protected him from the bite, but not from the impact. Before he could stand, 3 more wolves were on him. They did not try to bite through his armor. Instead, they went for joints, for gaps, for weaknesses. Other Krath soldiers ran to help. They fired their weapons, but the wolves were too fast, too coordinated. They split up, circled, attacked from behind. When the Krath focused on one wolf, 3 others attacked from different angles. In orbit, Sarah watched through satellite feeds. The wolves are using pack tactics. They recognize the Krath as threats and are treating them like large prey. "Deploy the crocodiles near the river systems," Marcus said. "The Krath have established bases near water sources. Let us give them neighbors." More pods fell. The crocodiles entered the wide blue rivers of Silvari Prime. They sank beneath the surface and disappeared. Crocodiles could hold their breath for hours. They could wait for days. They were ambush predators that had remained unchanged for millions of years because their design was already perfect. A Krath supply unit came to the river to refill their water tanks. The first soldier who knelt by the water's edge did not see the crocodile until it was too late. The jaws closed around his torso with 3,000 pounds of crushing force. He was pulled under before he could scream. The other Krath opened fire on the water. They hit nothing. Crocodiles were masters of the death roll. Once they had their prey, they did not let go. The lions deployed to the grasslands where the largest Krath force had gathered. The pride moved through the tall alien grass with silent grace. They had learned to hunt together over generations. One lioness to chase the prey toward the others to wait in ambush. Teamwork perfected by evolution. The Krath commander, General Thrak, received reports from all his units. Attacks by unknown creatures, soldiers disappearing, patrols not returning. "What are these things?" he demanded. "Animals, sir," his intelligence officer replied. "The Earth ships released animals." "Animals?" Thrak laughed. "They sent pets to fight us?" "Increase patrols. Kill anything that moves. Show these Earth fools what happens when you send beasts against warriors." But in the forests, the wolves were learning. They learned which parts of Krath armor were weak. They learned to avoid the energy weapons. They learned to strike and fade, to hunt and disappear. In the rivers, the crocodiles waited with endless patience. In the grasslands, the lions perfected their ambushes. The Krath had made a terrible mistake. They thought of the animals as simple beasts. But these were not simple beasts. These were apex predators from a death world. They had survived millions of years by being better killers than anything else on their planet. The hunt had begun. First Blood, the Krath's 6th Legion, was the pride of the Empire. They had conquered 4 worlds without losing a single battle. Their commander, Colonel Zarn, considered himself unstoppable. When he received orders to hunt down the Earth animals, he laughed. "We are warriors," he told his soldiers. "These creatures are nothing. We hunt them. We kill them. We show Earth what happens when they interfere." Zarn led 200 soldiers into the Purple Forest. They moved in standard formation, weapons ready, confident. They were the hunters. Everything else was prey. The wolves watched from the shadows. The alpha male understood formations. He had hunted human hikers before being captured for the Ark project. He knew how organized groups moved. He knew their weakness. The edges were always weaker than the center. The pack split into 3 groups. They moved through the underbrush without sound. Years of hunting deer and elk had taught them patience. They knew when to wait. They knew when to strike. A Krath soldier at the rear of the formation heard a twig snap. He turned. Yellow eyes stared at him from the darkness. Then the wolf was on him. Then 5 more wolves. The soldier's screams brought the others running. But the wolves were already gone. They had struck and faded into the forest. The Krath found their comrade alive but badly wounded. His armor had saved him from the worst, but the wolves had found every weak point, every joint, every gap. "Form a defensive circle," Zarn ordered. His soldiers obeyed, facing outward with weapons ready. The wolves attacked again. This time from 3 different directions at once. 3 soldiers went down. The Krath fired their weapons, but the wolves were too fast. They were not charging blindly. They were testing, probing, learning. Hours passed. The attacks continued. The wolves never gave the Krath time to rest. Every few minutes, another strike. Another soldier injured. The Krath began to panic. This was not how battles worked. Where was the enemy? Why would they not stand and fight? "They are animals," Zarn screamed. "Just animals. Kill them!" But the wolves were not just animals. They were persistence hunters. They could run for hours. They could wear down prey much larger than themselves. They had evolved to exhaust their targets before moving in for the kill. By nightfall, the Krath's 6th Legion was retreating. They had lost 30 soldiers. The wolves had lost none. At the river, the crocodiles were teaching their own lesson. A Krath patrol had set up camp near the water. They needed water to survive, and the river was the only source for 50 kilometers. The crocodiles had been watching for days. They studied the patterns. They learned the schedule. They knew when the Krath came to fill their containers. They knew when guards changed. They were patient. When the time was right, the largest crocodile, a 5-meter giant named Rex by the Earth scientists, made his move. A Krath soldier knelt by the water's edge. Rex exploded from the river in a burst of speed that should have been impossible for something so large. The death roll was quick and brutal. The Krath soldier did not stand a chance. His companions fired into the water, but Rex was already gone, back to the murky depths where sensors could not find him. The Krath stopped using the river. They called for water to be shipped from orbit, but that took time, and the river was everywhere. Every stream, every pond, every water source might hide a crocodile. The Krath began to fear the water itself. In the grasslands, the Lion Pride had found the main Krath base. 5,000 soldiers, heavy weapons, force fields. It should have been impossible to attack. But lions did not attack fortified positions. Lions hunted stragglers. Every time a patrol left the base, the lions followed. They waited for the right moment. The moment when the soldiers were tired, distracted, separated. Then the lionesses would strike. The male lion, a huge beast the scientists had named Apollo, took down a Krath officer. The officer's armor meant nothing against 400 kilograms of muscle and claws. The officer's squad opened fire, but Apollo was already gone, dragging his prey into the tall grass. Patrols stopped going out. Soldiers refused to leave the base. General Thrak watched his army become prisoners in their own camp. The Earth creatures controlled everything beyond the walls. On Silvari Prime, in their hidden shelters, The Silvari watched the battles through whatever cameras still worked. They saw the Krath, the unstoppable conquerors, running in fear. They saw their oppressors becoming prey. An elder Silvari named Asha spoke softly to her people. The Earth beings said they would send mercy. I did not understand. Now I see. They sent mercy for us. For the Krath, they sent something else. They sent judgment. In orbit, Dr. Sarah Chen and Marcus Webb monitored the data flowing from thousands of tracking devices. Every animal's location, heart rate, and status appeared on their screens. The animals are adapting faster than predicted, Sarah said. They are learning the Krath's weaknesses. They are coordinating across species. Marcus nodded. The Krath made a critical error. They thought technology made them superior. They forgot that evolution is the longest war, and Earth's predators have been winning that war for 3 billion years. Should we deploy the next wave? Sarah asked. Marcus smiled. Not yet. Let us see what the Krath do when they realize they are no longer the hunters. Let us see how they handle being the hunted. The hunted Supreme Commander Zalthek of the Krath Empire stood in his flagship's command center and stared at the reports. 3 weeks had passed since the Earth animals arrived. His invasion force was falling apart. 2,000 casualties, his second officer reported. Not from battles. From animals, wolves, lions, crocodiles. Our soldiers are terrified to leave their bases. Zalthek slammed his clawed hand on the console. They are just beasts. We have conquered 20 star systems. We have destroyed species more advanced than these Silvari. How can simple animals defeat us? The animals are not simple, Supreme Commander, the intelligence officer said carefully. They hunt in coordinated groups. They learn our patterns. They adapt to our tactics. And there is something else. What? The Earthships released a second wave. Smaller creatures this time. Zalthek felt something he had not felt in years. Fear. What kind of creatures? The answer came in the form of screams from the lower decks. A maintenance team had opened a supply crate that came from the surface. Inside were thousands of small insects. Bullet ants. Each bite felt like being shot. Within minutes, 3 crew members were unconscious from the pain. On the planet's surface, the Krath learned about Earth's venomous creatures. A squad exploring a cave system encountered Sydney funnel web spiders. The spiders were aggressive and fast. Their venom attacked the nervous system. 4 soldiers died before the others could retreat. Another unit, trying to cross a stream, found box jellyfish floating in the water. The transparent creatures were almost invisible. Their tentacles delivered excruciating pain and cardiac arrest. The Krath soldiers who touched them did not survive. In the grasslands, a patrol discovered inland taipans. The snakes were not aggressive, but when threatened, they struck with the most toxic venom on Earth. One bite contained enough poison to kill 100 humans. It could kill a Krath in minutes. The Krath Empire, which had weapons that could destroy cities, was being defeated by ants, spiders, jellyfish, and snakes. Everything is trying to kill us, a soldier shouted. The forest, the water, the ground itself. This planet is hell, a young officer looked at him. This is not the planet. This is Earth. This is what Earth sent us. The psychological warfare was effective. Krath soldiers stopped sleeping well. Every shadow might hide a wolf. Every water source might contain a crocodile. Every step might land on a snake. Every insect might be deadly. The invisible threat was worse than any army. Zalthek decided to use overwhelming force. Orbital bombardment, he ordered. Burn the forests. Boil the rivers. Kill everything. The ships fired. Massive energy beams struck the surface. Entire sections of forest turned to ash. Rivers evaporated. But the animals had already moved. The monitoring tag showed them relocating hours before the bombardment began. How did they know? Zalthek demanded. In orbit, Sarah Chen smiled. We told them. We are not just observers. We are coordinators. The animals respond to our signals. Marcus looked at the tactical display. It is time for the final deployment. Release the apex predators. New pods fell from the Ark ships. Inside were grizzly bears, each weighing over 300 kilograms. Komodo dragons whose bite delivered bacteria that caused deadly infections. Polar bears, the largest land carnivores on Earth. And the most dangerous of all, hippos and cassowaries. A grizzly bear named Goliath encountered a Krath command post. The soldiers fired their weapons. The energy beams burned Goliath's fur, but his rage only increased. He crashed through their defenses like they were paper. His claws could tear through armor. His jaws could crush bones. When he left, the command post was destroyed. The Komodo dragons moved into Krath camps. They did not attack directly. They bit and withdrew. Within days, the wounded Krath soldiers developed infections. The bacteria in the dragons' mouths was overwhelming. Medical treatments could not stop it. Zeltek watched his army collapse. His soldiers were not dying in honorable combat. They were being hunted, stalked, killed by creatures that should not have been able to threaten a galactic empire. "Retreat," he ordered. "Pull back to orbit." "We regroup and return with—" His intelligence officer interrupted. "Supreme Commander, I have analyzed Earth's classification. Class 12 Death World. Do you know what that means? Tell me." "It means Earth is one of the most dangerous planets in known space. It has gravity that would crush most species, weather that kills without warning, diseases that have no cure, and predators, Supreme Commander. Thousands of species of predators. These animals they sent, they are not weapons. They are survivors. They survived Earth. Nothing we have can compete with that." Zalthek stared at the planet below. "This is impossible. We have conquered civilizations. How can animals defeat us?" "Because civilizations rely on technology," the officer replied. "These creatures rely on millions of years of evolution. They have been perfecting the art of killing since before our species existed. We brought weapons. They brought instinct. On the surface, a Krath soldier sat alone in his bunker. He had not slept in 3 days. Every sound made him jump. Every shadow looked like a wolf. He whispered to himself over and over, "They are just animals. They are just animals." But they were not just animals. They were the monsters of Earth, and Earth had sent its very best. Apex predators, the Krath Empire's response was massive. They sent the Void Reavers, their most elite fighting force, 500 warriors who had never lost a battle. Each wore advanced powered armor. Each carried weapons that could level buildings. "They were the best of the best. We end this," their commander, War Master Krell, announced. "We kill every Earth creature. We show them what happens when they challenge the Krath Empire." The Void Reavers dropped to the surface in assault pods. They spread across the contested zones with military precision. They had scanners that could detect heat signatures, weapons that could fire in multiple directions, armor that could withstand direct hits from tank rounds. In orbit, Marcus Webb watched the deployment with concern. They sent their best. "We need to respond appropriately," Sarah nodded. "Release the final wave. Everything we have." The last ARC ships emptied their cargo. African wild dogs, pack hunters with an 85% success rate. Hyenas with jaws strong enough to crush bone. Great white sharks for the ocean zones. Orcas, the ocean's apex predators. And the truly dangerous ones, cassowaries and hippos. The Void Reavers encountered the African wild dogs first. A pack of 15 dogs moved through the grasslands like ghosts. They did not attack immediately. They watched. They learned. They communicated with chirps and body language that no Krath scanner could interpret. When they attacked, it was coordinated chaos. 5 dogs went for the leader, 3 for each flank. The rest circled and darted in to bite and retreat. The Void Reaver's armor protected them, but the dogs did not give up. They harassed, they wore down, they waited for mistakes. One Reaver stumbled. Instantly, 6 dogs were on him. They grabbed his weapon arm, his legs, his helmet. They pulled him down. The other Reavers fired, but they risked hitting their own soldier. By the time they cleared the dogs away, their companion was severely injured. The hyenas joined the assault. Unlike the wild dogs, hyenas were built like tanks. They could bite with more force than a lion. Their jaw strength could crush metal. When a hyena clamped onto a Reaver's arm, the armor cracked. War Master Krell began to understand. These creatures were not fighting like animals. They were fighting like soldiers. They used strategy. They exploited weaknesses. They worked together. "Fall back to defensible positions," he ordered. But something else was happening. The Krath equipment was failing. Sensors stopped working. Communications cut out. Weapons jammed. A technical officer discovered the cause. Ravens and crows. Earth had sent hundreds of them. The intelligent birds watched the Krath. They learned how equipment worked. Then they started pecking at cables, pulling at wires, stealing small components. They were sabotaging the technology. "How intelligent are these birds?" Krell demanded. "Very intelligent, sir. They use tools. They solve problems. They communicate with each other. And they are teaching the other Earth creatures how to disable our equipment. In the ocean zones, The orcas demonstrated why humans called them killer whales. They hunted Krath submarines in packs. They used echolocation to find weak points. They rammed the vessels with incredible force. When submarines surfaced, great white sharks were waiting. On land, the Sylvari emerged from hiding. They had watched for weeks. They had seen the Earth creatures target only the Krath. Now, inspired by the bravery of these animals, they decided to fight. Elder Asha led her people to a battlefield where wolves fought void reavers. The Sylvari could not fight with tooth and claw, but they could help in other ways. They gathered the wounded animals. They provided water. They created safe places to rest. Something remarkable happened. The animals began to accept the Sylvari. A wolf pack allowed Sylvari young ones to shelter with them. A lion pride permitted Sylvari to approach without fear. The creatures recognized allies. The final confrontation came at the main Krath base. War Master Krell gathered his remaining void reavers, 300 survivors. They prepared for a last stand. At dawn, the Earth creatures attacked. Wolves from the north, lions from the south, bears from the east, wild dogs and hyenas from the west. Birds darkened the sky. The coordination was perfect. The battle lasted 4 hours. The Void Reavers fought bravely, but they were outnumbered and outsmarted. Every tactic they tried, the animals countered. Every weapon they used, the creatures adapted to. Krell found himself separated from his soldiers. He stood alone in a clearing. Around him, in a perfect circle, sat a pride of lions. Apollo, the massive male, walked forward slowly. "I am War Master Krell," he shouted. "I have conquered worlds. I will not fall to an animal." Apollo roared. The sound shook the ground. It was the roar of a creature that had ruled the African plains for millions of years. It was the roar of an apex predator. Krell fired his weapon. The blast hit Apollo in the shoulder. The lion stumbled but did not stop. The lionesses attacked from all sides. Krell's armor was strong but not strong enough. When it was over, the remaining Void Reavers surrendered. They had been the best warriors in the Krath Empire. They had been defeated by Earth's animals. In orbit, Supreme Commander Zaltek watched his elite force fall. He understood now. He understood what Earth had done. They had not sent soldiers. They had sent evolution itself. They had weaponized 3 billion years of survival. "Send the retreat order," he said quietly. "We abandon Sylvari space. We leave immediately." "But Supreme Commander, the Empire will understand," Zaltek interrupted. "We cannot fight them. Do you understand? We cannot fight them. These are not weapons. These are the nightmares that evolution creates. This is what survives on a death world. We retreat or we die." The Krath fleet left Sylvari space within hours. They did not look back. The new gods, the news spread across the galaxy like wildfire. The Krath Empire, conquerors of 20 star systems, had retreated from a single world. They had not been defeated by advanced weapons or superior ships. They had been defeated by animals. The Galactic Council held an emergency session. Ambassador species from across known space gathered to discuss what had happened. The chamber was silent as they watched footage from Sylvari Prime. Wolves hunting in perfect coordination. Lions bringing down armored soldiers. Bears destroying military installations. The council leader, a being called Zentar, spoke carefully. Earth sent no soldiers. They sent no weapons. They sent creatures from their world. And those creatures won a war. A representative from the Quilon Confederacy raised a tentacle. How is this possible? The Krath have military technology centuries beyond these animals. How did simple predators defeat them? Earth's ambassador, a woman named Ambassador Lin, stood to address the council. They are not simple predators. They are survivors of a Class 12 death world. Every species we sent has been perfecting the art of hunting for millions of years. The Krath had technology. Our animals had evolution. And evolution-honored council always wins given enough time. Zentar leaned forward. Earth did what the entire Galactic Council could not do. You saved the Sylvari. You stopped the Krath Empire. How did you know this would work? Ambassador Lin smiled slightly. We did not know. It was a gamble. But we understood something important. War is not just about weapons. War is about survival. And nothing survives better than life from Earth. On Sylvari Prime, the planet was slowly returning to peace. The Krath were gone. The cities, though damaged, could be rebuilt. But something had changed among the Sylvari people. Elder Asha stood in the central square of the capital. Around her, thousands of Sylvari gathered. At her feet, resting peacefully, was a wolf pack. Nearby, a lion pride watched the crowd with calm eyes. "Today we dedicate this temple," Asha announced. "Not to our own ancestors, but to the guardians that came from the stars. We will call it the Temple of Earth's Mercy." The temple was beautiful. Inside were statues of the creatures that had saved them. The wolf, the lion, the bear, the crocodile, each one carved with perfect detail. Each one honored as a protector. Silvery children began learning about Earth. They learned the names of the animals. They learned how they hunted. They learned to respect the power of nature. Some Silvari even asked if they could keep the animals as permanent guardians. Dr. Sarah Chen and Marcus Webb came down from orbit to assess the situation. They walked through the recovering cities and saw something unexpected. The animals were not just tolerated, they were celebrated. "We need to decide what to do with them," Sarah said. "Most should return to Earth, but some seem to have bonded with the Silvari." Marcus watched a group of Silvari children playing near a wolf pack. The wolves were gentle with them, protective even. "Some of the animals have chosen to stay. Look at that alpha male. He has adopted the Silvari as part of his territory. He protects them. Can we leave them here? We will leave monitoring equipment and support. We will check regularly, but yes, I think the ones who want to stay should stay. They have earned it. The decision was made. Most animals would return to Earth as heroes. But volunteers would remain. Wolf packs to guard the forests, lion prides to watch the grasslands, crocodiles to protect the rivers. They would be monitored, cared for, and honored. Within months, other species contacted Earth. The Varan people were facing invasion. The Thule civilization was being threatened. All of them asked the same question. Could Earth help? Could Earth send its creatures? The United Nations debated. This could become Earth's role in the galaxy. Not conquerors, not warriors, but protectors, sending nature itself to defend those who could not defend themselves. The Galactic Council called another session. This time they asked Earth to join the Council as full members. No longer would Earth be the new species. They would be equals, respected, feared, needed. Ambassador Lin stood before the Council once more. "We accept your offer, but understand this. Earth will not be your army. We will not be your weapon. We will help those who need help. We will protect those who cannot protect themselves. And we will do it our way." "What way is that?" Zentar asked. "The way of nature. The way of survival. The way of Earth." Back on Silvari Prime in the Temple of Earth's Mercy, Elder Asha taught the young ones. She told them the story of how Earth answered their plea, how humanity sent mercy in the form of monsters, how the beasts of a death world became their saviors. "Remember," she told them, "when we begged for mercy, the galaxy ignored us. But Earth heard. Earth answered. They sent us their fiercest creatures, and those creatures became our gentlest guardians." A young Silvari raised her hand. "Elder Asha, are the Earth creatures still dangerous?" Asha looked out the window. A wolf pack ran across the grassland. A lion pride rested in the shade. Life was returning to normal. "Yes, child. They are still dangerous. Very dangerous, but not to us. Never to us. To us, they are family." In Earth's orbit, on the bridge of the last Ark ship preparing to depart, Marcus Webb and Sarah Chen watched Silvari Prime grow smaller. "Do you think we will be asked to do this again?" Sarah asked. Marcus nodded. "Yes, the galaxy now knows what Earth can do. They know we have something no one else has. 3 billion years of evolution creating the perfect survivors. Are you worried?" "No, I am proud. The Silvari begged for mercy, we sent it. They just did not realize that mercy when it comes from Earth has teeth and claws." At the Galactic Council, a new representative asked Ambassador Lin a question. "We have heard much about your animals, your predators. They are impressive. But tell me, Ambassador, what else lives on your death world?" Ambassador Lin smiled. It was not a warm smile. "You met our animals. You saw what they could do. But you should pray you never anger the humans. Because if our animals are this dangerous, imagine what the species that learn to live alongside them can do." The chamber went silent, and across the galaxy, word spread. Earth was not to be trifled with. Not because of their technology, not because of their weapons, but because they came from a world where survival meant becoming the most dangerous thing alive. On Silvari Prime, a young wolf pup played with Silvari children. His descendants would grow up protecting this world. His pack would become legend. And every night when the Sylvari looked at the stars, they would remember. They would remember the day they begged for mercy and the monsters of Earth answered. Humanity had sent mercy. It just wore fangs and claws,